Good evening. Pretty okay. Welcome to the AGM of the District Council. Firstly, Vic, do we have any apologies for absences?
Thank you, Chairman. We have apologies from Councillor Paul Coming.
Thank you. And can I ask, does anybody have any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interests or any other disclosable interests for anything on the agenda this evening? I would suspect not. Thank you. First, I'd just like to start with my chairman's announcements. Obviously, I've tried to keep these brief over the last year. It's obviously been an active month and an active 12 months. So over the last 12 months, I've been incredibly proud to represent Malvern Hills at a wide range of events, whether raising the special VHE 80 flag at council buildings this past week, or remembering our fallen last November, or supporting local community initiatives and voluntary groups. I've seen firsthand the pride and resilience that defines our communities. It has been a humbling experience, especially over Christmas, where invites to events were thick and fast. It really did bring it home to me how much I see Malvern Hills as home now, when I saw the beacon after 26 hours of walking back in January. Thank you to Bonterre for their support, and it was a pleasure to raise funds for them over the last 12 months. I want to offer particular thanks to those who stood in the recent county council elections. Whatever result, stepping forward to stand for election takes commitment and very hard work, particularly some of those county wards. And I thank you all for playing your part in that democratic process. To those newly elected or re-elected, congratulations. You have a hard task with the county as it is, but I'm glad that all of our elected county councillors will be on the right side of the conversation and will bring in the experience to County Hall. We now have a county council that looks very different and potentially one that is unclear on what direction it will take. There are individuals now in office who, rather than seeking to bring people together, have built their platforms on exploiting division and blaming others. That presents a real challenge for all of us at District who may have difficult conversations with the county over the coming years. Here at Malvern Hills, we haven't always agreed, and we don't pretend to, but we have, in many instances, shown that a council made up of differing views and values can still come together to get things done. As we face the increasingly pressing issue of local government devolution, I hope this council can set an example to those at county. We can demonstrate that even with political diversity, collaboration is possible and in fact essential if we are to get the best outcomes for residents who at the end of the day are the people we're here to represent. Devolution will no doubt be one of the defining challenges of the year ahead, whether it's a debate around a single county-wide unitary or a model of North and South Worcestershire unitaries. We must ensure that local voices, especially rural voices, who I believe are the most to lose, are not lost in the process. I believe we should continue to advocate for a structure that brings more autonomy, more accountability and better access to the resources our communities need. I absolutely want to thank the council staff and democratic services team for their tireless work and support throughout the year, in particular to Nikki, to Bronwyn, to Misha and Vic in particular, as well as our marketing team. You make this council run seamlessly, whether it be the work done with communities, our great many businesses within planning, collecting our bins or the myriad of other tasks that every resident appreciates being done so well. All that work never goes unnoticed, and as we talk about devolution, it's important we also think about those items and those teams. To my fellow councillors, thank you for your contributions, your debate, your challenge and your cooperation over the last year. I look forward to continuing to work with you all constructively and respectively as we tackle the big issues ahead and continue to serve the people of Malvern Hills. And of course, thank you in particular to John Raine for supporting and working alongside me for the last year. I know John has served as chair and vice chair on many occasions and has a great experience in terms of support on that sense. So with that, agenda item 4, election of chairman of the council. Can I ask for nominations? John.
Yeah, I would like to nominate Daniel Walton to continue. I think he's willing to do so. He's, as far as his performance over this last year, I think it's been outstanding. He's made great connections throughout the community. He's a local businessman. He's got very good connections with the business sector, with people. And I would just think it'd be great to have him carry on as chairman of the council going forward into this coming year.
Thank you, John. Can I have a second, Jeremy?
Happy to second that. Continuity is key, I think.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do we have any further nominations? Thank you, Tom.
Council. It gives me great pleasure to propose the name of Councillor John Raine. John Raine has served as a councillor here at Malvern Hills since help me out here, 2000. So he's got his quarter century badge. At least he should have. Chairman, I think I got it down correctly. I think you said it's vital that here at Malvern Hills, that elsewhere in the county, they learn from our collaboration, and that is essential. I think those were your words. And I agree with you. And I think if collaboration means anything, it means working across the various groups rather than just within one or two. So it shocks me to discover that the precedent that's been well established here and understood for many, many years is to be broken this evening. And indeed that the Vice Chairman only learned of his demise last night via an email, which is shameful. And not the way we do things at Malvern Hills, and not the way that we would want to expose to the rest of the county, because I think they'd see us as a rather poor relation in that regard. So, Chairman, John Raine is the man for the job. That's usually what we do with a Vice Chairman. We make them Chairman the following year. The fact that John has done it once before, as you alluded to, not surprisingly, in your speech, is irrelevant. Are we so short, Chairman, of quality that we have to ask you to do it again and again? There are 31 of us, and John would make an excellent Chairman for the next 12 months.
Thank you, Tom. Is that by the seconder? Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, thank you. I don't really have much to add. It's obvious. It's the way we do things here at Malvern Hills. John is experienced, well respected, and should be chair this year.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? No. So we'll take the first nomination to the vote. Misha? Hi, Daniel Walton. Having been elected to the office of Chairman of Council of the District of Malvern Hills, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected to members of Malvern Hills District Council. Okay, we move on to agenda item 5, election of the Vice Chairman of the Council. Again, can I ask for nominations? Jeremy?
Thanks. I would like to nominate Councillor Pam Cumming. I think Pam has been a long-standing councillor for us here, and her dedication to this council is probably demonstrated by her leaving her husband's hospital bed and rushing here today for the vote. I think she'll make a great vice chairperson, and no hesitation in nominating her.
Thank you. Does that find a seconder? John.
Just to reiterate those values, I think the fact that she's a very serious councillor and even under stress with her husband now in hospital, she's managed to find the time to fulfil her council duties, and I welcome her as the vice chair of the council.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor John Raine, please. If we're sticking with consistency or whatever it was Jeremy said, then surely you two at the front is the right decision to make. John should be sitting in the chair, but obviously the votes went against him. But surely you can respect him enough to let him stay in the role of vice chair for a further year. I don't think it's acceptable. It's not the way we do things in Malvern Hills to have two people from the administration, one in the chair and one in the vice chair position. Again, that's unprecedented. So I would urge you all to please vote for John Raine.
Thank you, Natalie. Does that find a seconder? I know, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I'd happily nominate John, and I've been a councillor here for a very long time. And I think, let's be honest, this is just about the votes on the night. We all know that to get things through, you need to have the chair's casting vote. And that's the way it is. So perhaps rather than pretending it's all about niceties, let's just be honest. But we do know that John Raine is an incredibly honourable man and that he does his job as a councillor incredibly well. And I'm sorry to hear Paul Cumming is ill, and it's great that Pam's here, but I'm not sure those would be my priorities tonight. But again, if she's not here, you don't get the votes through. So she had to come, really. So I hope someone's looking after Paul.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other nominations for vice chair? No. Could we take the first nomination to vote? Thank you, Misha.
Okay, so all those in favour of Councillor Pam Cumming as vice chair, can you raise your cards now, please? All those against? All those abstaining? And for the vote for Councillor John Raine, all those for? All those against? And all those abstaining? So, Chair, the nomination with the most votes is Councillor Pam Cumming. So, Pam Cumming is elected as Vice Chair. Councillor Cumming, would you like to come forward?
I, Pam Cumming, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of the Council of the District of Malvern Hills, hereby declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected of members of the Malvern Hills District Council. That Paul is in hospital, being very well cared for by abundant nurses and doctors, so don't worry. The other thing I'd like to say is that I've been a district councillor for 10 years, like quite a few of us, but for the previous best part of 20 years, I've lived and breathed Malvern Hills District Council through my husband. So I go back quite a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Okay. On to agenda item 6. I'll keep my new announcements brief. Obviously, I'm very grateful to have been re-elected as Chair of Malvern Hills District Council for the year ahead. Thank you for your trust, your support, and the opportunity to continue serving in what is a very privileged role. While I would know and would never expect everyone to support my nomination, that nonetheless doesn't affect that I'll operate in fairness and equity with everybody. As I have another year, I've chosen to take on a different charity. I haven't thought about what challenging or fundraising I may do, but I'll be supporting a national charity for the coming 12 months, the Stroke Association. My intention is to hold a number of events and at least one sponsored event to raise support. Strokes have affected my close family in a big way over the last few years and have affected people closest to me. So with that, I want to do this to give a little back. I'll share more information about events as we go through the year. Thank you. And now on to agenda item 7, the election of the leader of the council. Could I have nominations, Jeremy?
I've been impressed by Councillor John Gallagher over the last 6 months. He's stood by his word and is working in a collaborative way with the council. I've no hesitation in recommending him and nominating him to continue as leader for the next year.
Thank you. Does that find a seconder, Beverly?
Yes, very happy to second, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other nominations? Thank you.
District and at the county level, but she's also very diligent and an extremely hard-working councillor. I cannot think of a better person to lead the council through this very difficult time. As you were saying earlier, to have a balanced council, it's important that the important roles are shared amongst the groups and not reserved for the ruling administration. For that reason as well, I feel that the position should be given to Natalie, and I move that she should be voted into the post of leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. Does that find a seconder? Sarah?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to second Natalie. She's worked incredibly hard as a councillor, and I've just heard something about collaborative working, and it perhaps is collaborative on that half of the room, but it's not that collaborative on this half. And I think we'll have noticed that by the fact that attendance has dropped off across the board in all the committees, and it might be a good idea to perhaps look at that and ask why people aren't attending meetings. Certainly the panels appear to have died a death, and I indeed myself stopped going because I lost the will to live. But I am more than happy to propose Natalie, because I do actually think she would create a collaborative council, and that is what we actually need, because otherwise we aren't going to do anything in the next 3 years. We're just going to sit here and vote and not vote, and we're all going to be in opposition against each other, which is really fairly pointless. So I'm more than happy to support Natalie.
Thank you, Sarah. Do we have any other nominations for leader of the council? No, so can we take the first nomination to vote? Thank you, Misha. Thank you. I'd like to declare John Gallagher appointed as leader of the council. Would you like to give a speech, give thanks?
Yeah, just like to say that for the short period that I come into the leadership of it, something I didn't actually seek in the first instance, I'm very impressed with the team within the administration, and I intend to carry on trying to keep everybody involved as best I can. There may be some times where they don't want to get involved, but I think my door's always open, and I wish to discuss with you how we can actually work in a collaborative way going into this coming year.
Thank you, John. Could we move on to agenda item 8, then the election of a deputy leader of the council? Do we have a nomination? John?
Yeah. I'd like to nominate Jeremy Owenson. I worked with him for the last 6 months, a bit more, and I'm very impressed with how well we've worked together, and I would like to see him carry on in that role and carry on developing in the deputy leader role alongside and delivering for people of Malvern Hills.
Thank you, John. Does that find a seconder? Jenny?
Thank you, Chair. Happy to second that nomination.
Thank you, Jenny. Do we have any other nominations? Sarah?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Councillor Peter Watley. I think the fact that he so understands local government finance is an asset to everyone, and something that I never got my head around. And his ability, you know, to work with everyone and to be measured and thoughtful in his responses and to really work collaboratively, because that's the word of the night, I think is very valuable to this council. And it's very unfortunate that he's no longer in charge of the finances, because I had great faith in him when he did.
Thank you. Does that find a seconder? Thank you, Natalie.
Sorry, I might have trodden on your toes. Again, nothing much to add. Collaboration and cooperation, those are words that have been used a lot. Peter is the most fair-minded, collaborative person that I know, actually, in this council. And as Sarah said, his skills and expertise in finance are excellent. So if you truly want to work collaboratively with a true independent councillor, then please vote for Peter.
Thank you, Natalie. Do we have any other nominations? No? Should we take it to the vote, Misha? Thank you. I'd like to declare Jeremy as deputy leader. Do you want to say anything? No? That's fine. Okay, so now on to agenda item 9, appointments to committees, subcommittees and panels for 25-26. We'll be referring to the tabled items, which there should be a printed copy for everybody, and I believe it was emailed out as well. Could I turn to the leader to introduce this item?
Yeah, each group has put their names forward for the various roles on the committee. Some of them are not entirely filled, which is disappointing. But I think I hope the names that the administration, the current administration, has put forward is done in a way on that side that is tried to get some continuity from the 6 months that we've just had. And I welcome all the other names on that, and I hope they participate more effectively in the panels going forward this year, and we will see how we get on.
Thank you. Could I ask you, John, if, and Misha as well, I'm to turn to you, in terms of voting on this, there are a lot of this which is obviously just in black ink and I think everybody's agreed upon. Could we take a block vote on those ones and then take all the other ones line by line? So where there are ones where there are differences of opinion, we can take a vote in each one of those in turn. That's okay.
If everyone's in agreement with that approach, that's fine. The only caveat I would say for that one is on the first committee that's on the list for executive committee, there are alternative nominations for the chair and vice chair. However, the constitutional requirements are that the leader is automatically the chairman of executive committee and the deputy leader is automatically the vice chairman. So I would suggest that that does not need a separate vote.
Thank you, Misha. That's not going. So yes, if we take a block vote, unless anybody has any issue against that, on all of the one in black, and then we'll go through line by line, starting with overview and scrutiny committee. Sarah?
Order, does that include the Malvern Hills Trust bit?
No, we'll leave that to last as well.
That's separate,
We'll
because
leave
it
that
does sort of
separate.
all in it in block.
No, of
Thank
course,
you, just
that's fine.
clarification.
Thank you, Sarah. Is everybody else okay with that? And we'll take the vote on the rest of it. Thank you, Misha.
Okay, so for the first item to take a vote on is for chairman of ONS. All those in favour for Councillor Paul Bennett, can you raise your card now?
Sorry, Misha, are we doing the block vote first?
So for the blocked vote for everything that's in the appointments table in black, we'll take the vote. I'll just point out that there are some nominations that have not been made and there are some gaps. Because they don't relate to chairs or vice chairs, if any group leader wants to make appointments after today, if they let me know, I will get agreement from the other group leaders to fill those gaps. So on block for the nomination.
Sorry, I can't concentrate when there's a conversation going on over there.
Sorry, I just want to clarify something about who we were voting on and what things we were voting on.
Okay, so we're voting on all the nominations that are in black on this sheet, John. So everything that doesn't have an alternative nomination.
Other
Okay.
than Malvern Hills Trust.
Other than the Malvern Hills Trust, which we'll come to last. So everyone in favour, please raise your cards now. Everybody against? Everybody abstaining? Okay, so that's carried.
Thank you, Misha. So now we're going to go through this line by line, starting with overview and scrutiny committee. Do we have any? I mean, we've got the names on here. Should we take nominations, or should we
Yeah,
take it that these are the nominations?
If there are any other nominations.
Are there any other nominations other than we've got Paul Bennett and Sarah Rouse named on the sheet?
I would have liked to have said a few words in support of Sarah's nomination,
fine.
actually. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine.
Okay, so Sarah has a wealth of experience. She's obviously worked with the LGA on national issues, including on corporate peer challenges, where scrutiny is a really important function. She would get this committee back on track. I think it's lost its way over the last few years, and Sarah would certainly get things back on track in a very open and honest way, and she would provide appropriate challenge and make sure that everybody is in the room to be pushed and challenged on decisions that are made. She is honest, open, and has a huge amount of integrity, which is extremely important to this role. That cannot be said of some other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. We'll revert back to the nominating and seconding then. Tom, do you want to second that?
Chairman, I do, if I may be allowed to. So I rise to, or rather I don't rise, I would rise, to support the nomination of Sarah Rouse. I'm amazed that Sarah is prepared to do this because to a large extent Sarah's outgrown Malvern Hills District Council. Her knowledge in local government is way beyond the average district councillor, and we would be very fortunate indeed to have her serve in this role. Integrity is a word that's used a lot. It's part of the Nolan principles. And integrity is something that the chair of Overview and Scrutiny must display at all times, in all ways. They can't take their hat off and on when it suits them. Chairman, I would implore council to be collaborative and vote for the best person. That would be Sarah Rouse.
Thank you, Tom. Do we have another nomination? Thank you, Jeremy.
I just want to talk, since we've had one candidate have some words said about them. I think Paul Bennett has got his teeth into the role over the last 6 months. I think that he doesn't sit within the current administration, so he isn't part of the leading group, the combined independent and conservative group. And I think he's done a good job. I think he is the right person to turn it around. I do believe in his integrity. And I do believe he's been turning up and actually running the meetings. So more than happy to promote Paul Bennett as the chair for ONS.
Thank you, Jeremy. Does that find a seconder? Thank you, John. Fine. Okay, can we take it to the vote unless we have any other nominations? I think those are the two, aren't they? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. So moving on, as we work our way through the tables, unless I'm correct, the next one should be the Policy Development Panel for Economy and Tourism. Is that what you want me to? Yeah, that's fine. So do we have any nominations for the Econ Devon Tourism Policy Panel? Jeremy.
Happy to nominate Cynthia Palmer. She's got a lot of experience. Being a Malvern Town Council and a lot of experience as Malvern District Council, more than happy for her to chair this panel.
Thank you. Does that find a seconder? Beverly?
I'm very happy to second Councillor Palmer. Her extensive experience, her open approach, her interest in the economy over many years, both as on the officer side and, of course, in more recent years as a councillor. It's always a pleasure working with Councillor Palmer, and I know she'll do a very good job in this role.
Thank you. Do we have any other names, any other nominations? I've got Jules down and then Natalie.
Yeah, I'd like to propose Jules.
I can't because I'm on exec. Can I?
Oh.
I don't think I can I? Because I'm on exec and issues.
You can be chair of panel.
I'll carry on when I've left off then.
Sorry.
You can?
Okay.
Okay. So I would like to nominate Jules. When she was in the position of portfolio holder, she did an excellent job. She's got a wealth of experience working for different councils before she was a councillor here, so can see things from the side of being an elected member and an officer, which I think is vital experience to have. So yeah, I propose Jules. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie.
So if I just clarify, you can't be you can't be the chair of a panel if you're a portfolio holder. Ideally, you wouldn't also be a member of the exec because obviously the panels report back to exec. So you'd be, as the chairman, reporting back to the executive who are then going to make a decision. But there isn't a specific rule on that. So
Yeah, so she could just declare an interest, couldn't she? An exec.
I think that sounds fine. Do we find a seconder for Jules? Anyone? Thank you, Peter. Sorry. I was waiting for somebody. Yeah, thanks, Peter.
So Taking those nominations in the order they were made, all those are voting in favour of Councillor Palmer, can you raise your cards now? All those voting against, can you raise your cards now? And all those abstaining. And all those voting for Councillor Wood? All those voting against? And all those abstaining. So, Chair, that vote is carried in favour of Councillor Palmer by 1 vote.
Thank you. We move on to Policy Development Panel for the Environment. Do we have any nominations for this? I've got 2 names. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate John Michael for the reasons that I've sort of given for the other ones, which is the sort of continuity in the particular role.
Thank you, John. Does that find a seconder, Jeremy? Thank you. Do we have any other nominations for this panel? Thank you, Natalie.
Yep, as on the paper, I'd like to nominate Councillor Mark Driscoll. Again, we've talked about collaboration and cross-party working, so let's have at least one non-administrative councillor in a position like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Does that find Sarah, second?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Mark. You know, I really like John Michael. He's a very nice chap, but I know that Mark has a lot of skills within the environment portfolio and in that area, and I think he would have those skills that he can really drive that panel and really make some changes because he does know what he's doing. And as Tom's just rightly reminded me, he drove that panel for the first 2 years and he really did have some great outcomes. So I think that would be ideal if he was allowed to have the one and only seat that we're allowed on this side of the room.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there any other nominations other than what we've got on the paper? No. Misha?
So, all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor John Michael, please raise your cards now. All those against, please raise your cards now. All those abstaining? All those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Mark Driscoll, please raise your cards now. All those against, please raise your cards now. All those abstaining? So, Chair, that vote is tied exactly with both having 14 votes each for, 14 votes each against and 2 abstentions each. So if you could use your casting vote on each one. So firstly, for John Michael.
Yeah, it was John. I'm sticking with my original vote.
Okay. So that vote is carried in favour of Councillor John Michael by 1 vote.
Thank you. Moves us on to Southern Area Planning Committee. Do we have nominations for this? John?
Yeah, for the chair, I would like to nominate. For the chair, I would like to nominate Beverly Nielsen.
Thank you. Does that find a seconder, Jeremy?
Yeah, just I think constitutionally, Julie Wood cannot stand again because she stood for 6 years. So I'm happy to propose Beverly to take over for this year. I think Julie was great, but constitutionally just can't stand, and I would welcome her back at some point in the future. Just picking up on a comment earlier, we do have one of the Malvern Hills Independents as the chairman of the Licensing and Appeals Committee. Peter is the chair of that. So I do see this as a collaborative council, and I think this is a good way forward.
Thank you, Jeremy. Sorry, do we have any other nominations for Southern Area Planning Committee? Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah, as Jeremy said, Jules can no longer fulfil this role, even though she's done an excellent job since taking it up. So I would like to propose Councillor John Raine, because actually I quite like trees in the southern area of the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Does John find a seconder? Sarah?
I'm not on the southern area, but we all know John is an excellent chair and he's very fair, and he's done an excellent job throughout everything he's done. And given that we've unceremoniously removed him from the front, I think, and I do think we normally do sort of thank people and make a bit of a fuss when people step down as, you know, chair or vice chair. So maybe we could retrospectively do that. But I fully support John Raine as chair of Southern Area. He has a lot of experience. He understands planning very well. So I think he'd be great.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other nominations? No, Misha, take it to the vote.
Okay, so all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Beverley Nielsen, please raise your card. All those against? Any abstentions? Okay, all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor John Raine? All those against? Any abstentions? Chair, that vote is carried in favour of Councillor Beverley Nielsen.
Thank you. Okay, the next one is the Malvern Hills National Landscape Partnership. There are 2 seats. On the sheet, we've got 4 names. You still down for this? Yeah. Okay, so the names I've got here, we can go through nominations seconding, but just to make sure that this is correct with everybody, we've got Pam, Paul, Cynthia and John. So you're happy to stand down. Okay, so we can cross Pam off that. Okay, so can we get a nomination first for Paul Bennett? Thank you, John.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to nominate Paul.
That's fine. Does that find a seconder? Jeremy? Thank you. Cynthia Palmer? Do we get a John?
Yeah, nominate Cynthia.
Okay. Sorry, Paul?
I'll second Cynthia.
Thank you. And John Raine, do we get a thank you, Natalie, and a seconder for John?
Yeah, let's
Sorry.
not wipe John off everything tonight, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we get a seconder for John, Jules or Sarah or Mark?
We all
Whichever
love
one.
John.
Thank you. Mark, we'll take Mark on the seconder. Thank you. Okay, are there any other nominations not on the sheet? This is for Malvern Hills National Landscape Partnership. Nope. Okay, we'll take that to the vote. Thank you.
All those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Paul Bennett, please raise your card. All those against? All those abstaining? All those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Cynthia Palmer, please raise your cards. All those against? All those abstaining? And all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor John Raine, please raise your cards. All those against? And all those abstaining? So, Chair, Councillor Paul Bennett has 14 votes for, Councillor Cynthia Palmer has 16 and Councillor John Raine has 15. So the 2 who are elected with the most votes are Councillor Palmer and Councillor John Raine.
Thank you. We move on to Worcestershire Health and Wellbeing Committee. Now, this has got one seat, and on the sheet, you see we've got two nominees. So we've got Andrew Wilmot and Christine Wilde. So just we want to propose, thank you. This is for Andrew.
Andrew Wilmot, yeah.
Thank you. And does that find a seconder? Jeremy. And Christine, Natalie.
Yeah, I have it on good authority from HOSC that they miss Christine and they want her back. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And a seconder? Thank you, Sarah. That's fine. Are there any other nominations other than ones that we've got on the sheet? Thank you. I think we take that to the vote, Misha.
Okay, all those in favour of Councillor Andrew Wilmot, please raise your card now. All those against? Any abstentions? And all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Christine Wilde, please raise your card now. And all those against? And any abstentions? So, Chair, that vote is won by 3 votes by Councillor Andrew Wilmot.
Thank you, Misha. On to HOSC now, so Worcestershire Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee.
Sorry, Chair, I meant 2 votes.
Thank you, Misha. Again, this has one seat, and we have the same 2 candidates. Thank you, Tom.
Chairman, it was a privilege for me to sit on HOSC whilst Councillor Wilde was our representative, but not just our representative, the chosen representative of the 6 district councils. It's really important to understand that the nomination is a single person to represent the 6 districts as vice chairman. And it so happened in that year that the chairman was ill. And so Christine had to step up to chair HOSC. Now this is quite a serious role involving holding the health sector to account as to how they allocate millions of pounds of public money. So the witnesses that were called to the table were high-flying officers from the NHS. She did her job brilliantly and won admiration from everybody in those meetings. The first meeting, she had very little time to prepare for it because it was only on the day that she discovered she had to chair. Chairman, if there's any justice in this world, we should tonight ask Christine to be our representative and hope that the 6 districts agree with us because it's a collaborative arrangement between the 6 districts. I was determined to get that word in. Chairman, it gives me pleasure to support Councillor Wilde, and I would urge those on the other side of the room to think carefully about what signal you are sending in constantly this evening creating a circumstance where votes are won or lost by a single vote or 2. That is not good. And on this particular post, there's an opportunity to get behind someone who is well respected on this committee and has done an excellent job.
Thank you, Tom. Natalie?
Yeah, just to reiterate what Tom said, also there is a new administration at the County Council, and Christine's experience, intelligence and her articulate nature will just add a huge deal of stability to this if she returns to this committee. So yes, please think very carefully about who you're putting forward for this very important role.
Thank you. We have a second name on the sheet. John?
Yeah. I nominate Andrew Wilmot, again, a continuity.
Thank you. And Jeremy? I'd like to second that. Sorry, do we have any other nominations other than what's on the sheet? No? Thank you. Misha?
So all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Christine Wilde, please raise your cards now. All those against? And all those abstaining? And all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Andrew Wilmot, please raise your cards now. And all those against? And all those abstaining? Councillor Chair, the Councillor Christine Wild is nominated with an extra 2 votes compared to Councillor Andrew Wilmot.
Thank you, Misha. Thank you. We move on to Patrol Adjudication Joint Committee, and this is 1 seat. Okay, thank you, Dean. So we've got 1 name. Does anybody else want to be nominated for this? Okay, so can we have a nomination for John? Thank you, Natalie. And can we have a seconder for John? Sarah or Peter? Thank you, Sarah. Can we take that to the vote?
So all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor John Raine, please raise your cards now. All those against? All those abstaining? So, Chair, Councillor John Raine is nominated. John wants to say.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council. Just to say, in case you didn't understand what Patrol is, I did a lot of work on it some years ago. It's the parking and traffic regulations outside London, a weirder organisation you can't imagine. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have one other final item on the matrix. Oh, sorry, the Armed Force Members Champion as well.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not in black, is it? So,
No,
yeah.
Proposal.
Yes, Sarah.
There. I've just asked her. I'd like to propose Leslie Bruton for that role. She didn't say no, so I think that was quite good. Yeah. I'm sure somebody would like to second that quickly before she changes it.
I feel like I ought to ask Leslie, do you want to be nominated for this?
I'm more than happy to do that.
That's
I do a lot in the
great.
community with British Legion, so that's tying nicely. So
That's superb, thank you. We've had a seconder, haven't we? So that's a second.
Anybody else?
No, I think that's, I can tell it to the vote.
All those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Leslie Bruton, please raise your cards now. All those against? All those abstaining? So that vote is clearly carried, Chair.
Thank you. And now we do come to the final item. So under further appointments, just below the Armed Forces Members Champion, you'll see we've got the Malvern Hills Trust. There are currently 3 vacant seats on this. Sorry, John, we're going to... It's okay. There are 3 vacant seats at the moment. We've got 3 names that have been put forward, and it's been requested, and we're happy to do this, that we're going to take each vote in turn on this. So we'll just run through each of these. So the nominations I have... so the nominations I currently have are David Mead, Cynthia Palmer and Andrew Wilmot. Do we have any other nominations before we proceed with this? I can't see any hands. Okay. So we're happy to take this in turn? Okay. Right, thank you. So I'll turn to... Do we have a nominator and a seconder? We do need still, don't we? So can we have one for David Mead first, please? Thank you, John. Jeremy? Should we do that vote first or take all? She'll do that vote first. Yeah. Make it cleaner, won't it?
So all those...
Thank you. The next name I've got is Cynthia Palmer. Do you have somebody who can nominate Cynthia? Thank you, Jeremy. Does that find a seconder? Thank you, John.
those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Palmer, please raise your card now. All those against? And all those abstaining. So Councillor Palmer is nominated by one vote.
Thank you. The final name we have is Andrew Wilmot. Does that find a nominator? Thank you, Jeremy. And a seconder, John. Shall we take that to the vote? This is for Andrew Wilmot.
So all those in favour of the nomination for Councillor Andrew Wilmot, please raise your card now. All those against? All those abstaining? So that vote is clearly carried, Chair.
Thank you. And with that, bring the meeting to a close. The next council meeting date is the 24th of June. Thank you, everybody.